conclusion of just at the commencement of the break, the committee went into a breakout session. We've discussed the issue where Sergeant Martin was wanting to ask some questions. And if we can turn to page 12 of Mr. Mann's evidence, Mr. Mann has in his evidence stated, on this point, I also like to clarify the agency's reports say that I have failed a CPO, but this is incorrect. As mentioned above, it is one of our duty managers who sold alcohol to the volunteer. Having given that evidence in this hearing, the committee is of the view that the sergeant is able to ask some questions within the limitations of natural justice because of the ALA proceedings. And we're going to turn it back to Sergeant Martin, and I invite him to ask pertinent questions. And Ms. Cow, obviously you have the right to object, and Mr. Mann has the right not to self-incriminate. So on that basis, the committee is going to turn it back to you, Sergeant, and give you the opportunity to ask the question.
Yes, thank you. So I just have to get my train of thought back. But the question was around, were you present when the alcohol was served? I believe the answer was no.
No.
Do you understand I guess the legal argument is the vicarious liability. So the question would be, do you hold yourself responsible, or your, as the manager of that establishment, do you hold your duty manager responsible or yourself responsible?
I think that would be matter for submissions before the authority, whether they held themselves responsible or not. I would say, with respect, if the questions can be directed regarding the facts of the the incident, like what actually happened or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, those are factual things.
Can you tell the committee what happened in that incident?
I wasn't present there when this incident happened. I was in Auckland, so I just got a call from the manager saying that the CPO was conducted or something like that, and this thing has happened. So I told him to cooperate with the council and staff, whatever. If you have done, like, you have to face the consequences. But yeah, so told him to just follow the procedure, and yeah, whatever it's done, so you have to follow the guideline, and he followed it, and he just updated me after that, and nothing else. After that, when I went there, then he told me about the incident or something like that.
Okay. No, I have no further questions in relation to that.
Thank you. All right, in that case, we will now go to Dr. Cameron. Thank you.
Mr. Mann, just still thinking about the CPO. Would you accept that a licensee as well as a duty manager may bear some responsibility when there's a failed CPO?
According to my, like, what I have knowledge, I've got, like, as a licensee, it's my responsibility, like how I there is a procedure of training the staff and everything, which I have done according to me properly, and I have trained my staff.
I'm not sure that's an answer to the question. The question, Mr. Mann, if I can put it, is that do you accept that the licensee and his responsibility for the actions of his staff, if I can put it in different words?
I'm not clear on that. So can I come back afterwards, or?
Well, no, the question's been put to you now. If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know about this one, so.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Cameron.
Okay, can I take you to paragraph 16 of your brief of evidence? So in that paragraph, you say that you won't be selling single cans of beer, RTDs or shots that are less than 440 mils. Would you be willing to accept a condition on your license, should it be granted, that restricts the sales of single cans or bottles?
Yep, I'm okay with that.
Can I take you now to paragraph 23? Paragraph 23 is where you talk about the target market for the store. You mentioned a number of different localities there where you would attract, where you believe that the store would be attracting people from or attracting customers from. Do you think your store will attract customers from Huntly?
Actually, Huntly is a bit far away, so I'm not expecting that far distance. So they got their own 3 or 2 liquor stores in their region. So I don't think that especially someone will commute all the way to me from Huntly to buy any.
Okay, what about Ngaruawahia?
I think Narwai is also quite fair distance away, and they have got the stores there as well. And I don't think, and it's a bit out of the route, I would say. So
you mentioned in that paragraph, in terms of the target market, you say as well as commuters. So what sort of commuters are you referring to there?
Commuters could be people going on holiday, or like not like everyday travelers as well, or people come for food in that area as well. So
in terms of those everyday travelers, where would they be commuting to or from?
We are on State Highway, main highway of New Zealand, so they can be traveling from anywhere of parts of North Island, like mainly people from Auckland to Hamilton or going towards Tauranga, because that's got a break point where we can have a rest before in going to Auckland or something.
So you're not really thinking there about commuters in the way that some people might use that term, right? People who commute from home to work and then from work to home. Are you?
No, like there will be population. So there might be people going to work and from Huntly and other places, or Tapiri, like there's a new development going on. So there will be people coming in and out for regular works as well. And I've noticed like this area is quite busy in public school holidays and those sort of things as well. So people do stop for.
How familiar are you with the Taupiri community?
I just traveled. I've been traveling from past 2016 from Auckland to Tiamuru. So Tapiri has been my main route going to Tiamuru from 4 years. I have seen it, and I've seen before the motorway was open as well, and after as well. So. And it's like certainly Tapiri on its own I don't think so that has got a population. So like not that busy community, I would say. Like.
So you've been driving through the community for about 4 years.
Yes.
Going from your home to your
up and down.
So you've seen the community, at least from the road.
Yeah.
Does the community strike you as a wealthy or an affluent community?
It's like a normal. I don't think so. It's a poverty area as well. Like it's quite good houses and average houses, I would say.
Would you say that the community, to the extent that you've seen it, would you consider that Taupiri community to be deprived? Or a
No.
poor community, perhaps?
I don't think, yeah, but no.
Can I take you to paragraph 25 in your brief? This isn't so much a question as it's a request for more information that you might be able to give us after the hearing today. You say that you've displayed driving safe messages for your customers. I wonder whether you could provide to the committee some examples of those driving safe messages that you would be displaying.
Yeah, we encourage like intoxication and those sort of like not like putting signs saying that we won't serve intox people and have a safe drive or something like that, but not like as an on license, but an off license where we can always put those messages. Like
So it would be helpful for the committee to be able to see.
Oh, okay. I can definitely
what you're going
provide in the right wording. I don't want to say anything which might be changed afterwards. So I can do that definitely. Those sort of examples.
Thank you. Can I take you to paragraph 32? So paragraph 32 is where you address the situation in regards to litter in the car park. I just wondered, you say in that paragraph that staff will be able to check the car park for litter, but I wonder at those times where there's only one staff member who's rostered according to your roster, how will they check the car park during those times?
Like most of the places, even in my current place, I've noticed like the rubbish doesn't get filled. It was straight away. It takes time. So we might work out which time is the best luck, or we might notice what time that people are dumping the rubbish, or how we can control, so we can set up timing according to that. Because I'm not open, or I haven't been there like yet. So once we are open, we can always work out, and I'm sure it can be solved on that.
Just sort of related to that, I wondered if you could tell the committee how you'll coordinate with the other businesses at the site in terms of controlling litter, controlling people who might be loitering in the car park, or any problems that are occurring around the site.
Yep. What my plan was, if we get licensed, then there is always a way to solve this one as well, but talking with neighbors and neighboring business, and we can come up with a plan, seeing like where that rubbish is coming from, or like what sort of problem or like that. So I think this one is also solvable once we know that where's the source of it. Is it customers, or is it just the business rubbish or something like that? So we can always work out on something and come up with solution. And working with neighbors is always good, like we know at least where we stand or who's.
Now, the site has a body corporate, is that correct?
Yes.
How often does the body corporate meet? Do you know?
I've got no idea, because it's new place and I have just signed the seal, so yeah, lease. So I can get more details if you want on that one as well later.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that question is again related to the previous question, in terms of you've got multiple businesses operating at the same site. I mean, if there's rubbish in the car park, or there is unsavory people in the car park, say, or there are problems occurring in the car park, then those are problems that affect all of the businesses.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that you'll agree that having some sort of common approach
Yep.
involving all of the businesses on that site is probably a well way to.
Yeah, like another step we can take is put more lights in front of the store. So if there's a bright area, people try not to litter that area. Even if it's a dark area, then people do it more often.
Still on in relation to the car park, you've mentioned in your evidence about the CCTV cameras that you'll have. How much of the car park are those CCTV cameras going to cover? Because it's a very large site.
Yep, I would like to correct you on that. We don't have CCTV. We will place it once we open the store. And with my previous experience, mostly I know the places once you start the business that where will be, it's better for the safety concern as well, especially with the liquor store, like you have to be covering most of the entrance and where the blind spots or something like that. So yeah.
Okay, so I appreciate that there's not CCTV there right now, but
Yes.
What's your intention in relation to the CCTV coverage of the car park area?
Definitely, it's for the security purpose. With my experience is like you should cover the front when the entrance and the car park, so where your staff can and see the people before they enter into your shop.
So the car park at the site, and the committee hasn't had an opportunity to have a site visit as yet, but I know it because I've been there on a previous occasion. The car park is very large. Right? The building in which the premises will be located is long, right? There's a number of business sites there. Are you saying that your CCTV will cover the car park just outside the front of the business, or will it cover the broader area of the car park in general?
Most of the time we can stay in our boundary and we can point the cameras in that direction, but I'm not sure if the other people or maybe the body cop might have their own CCTV cameras, but which I'm not sure at the moment. I have to follow up because that point never came in my mind, but I'm sure if they might have some extra, but we can stay in our boundary. That's what.
I have a couple of minor points in relation to the training plan. So can I just take you to your training plan?
Yes, sure.
Which I think is it Exhibit B? No, that's the alcohol management plan, sorry.
Exhibit H is our training policies.
H, yeah, you're right, Exhibit H. So these are just a couple of minor points. They're not so much questions as they are things that you might want to address. The first is on under the key points to remember, which is about the third page over.
Yeah.
Under number 4 on the key points to remember, you say we can only accept 3 forms of valid ID, and then you list 4 forms.
Because C and D is the replacement, like D is the replacement of C's.
I understand. It's just that you say 3 and then you list 4. So as I said, these are just comments more than they are questions. And I'm not trying to catch you out or anything. I'm just suggesting that you might want to make a change there.
Sure.
And of course it is because the Hands 18 Plus card, they're not issuing them anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
But the ones that they have issued are still valid for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then on minors, which is a few more pages in, you say you, the duty manager, and the owners can be fined heavily for serving alcohol to minors. Of course, that wording applies for an on license, but as an off license, you wouldn't be serving alcohol. So I imagine that you've taken that wording
Yeah.
from your training plan for peach and porker, but actually you're supplying or selling alcohol rather than serving it. So,
Yeah, you're right.
Just a slight change of wording.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, do you have questions?
Yeah, Mr. Mann, can you tell me a little bit more about the tipsy training that's provided by Hospitality New Zealand that you're going to be using? Like particularly, how long does it take to do the modules, and give me a little bit more in terms of the content of that particular package?
Yeah, sure. Tipsy, it's like they are another, not hospitality, but they are the one given us that premium exclusive membership for that online platform, where it has got more training material than Servwise, because in that one you can teach your staff regarding how to evaluate the intox and underage, and there are more videos, and there are like online bullet points and questions. You watch the video for like an hour, and then you can take your time, and after that there's a quiz, and then it's the same, like it gives you the certificate as well of achievement. Like if you have done, like there is one typical say about alcohol awareness, and that one in that topic, it covers about shows you the video of there will be two different people coming and how they look all same, like say 25, and they will show you the 4 pictures, and where you have to guess that they all look young, but sometimes when you think, oh yeah, this is looks 25, but actually they are 18, so under 18 or something. So that's how the tricky quiz, where it's more realistic situations where the staff goes through and learn for the training as well. Like once.
Is it just one module of an hour?
Yeah. Different. Every module has got different topics and different timing. You don't have to do it at once. You can set it, and if you're wrong, then it tells you the solutions as well. Like where did you go wrong, and how could have you analyzed the situation?
How long does it take to go through the full training package then?
We just started about a month ago. Where before that we were doing Servwise only, but this one I find that it's got more. It's just not alcohol. It tells you about the customer behavior, and even in the restaurant or that business, because I'm in hospitality, it tells you how to analyze and how to ask people to see that whether they are underage or in talks or other influence of drugs or something. So which I find pretty good.
Mr. Mann, can you actually answer the question? The question was, how long does it take to undertake the training module?
It starts from 30-minute course to 45. They are all different courses.
So how many courses are there?
They are unlimited. Like I haven't calculated it, but there are like you can put one module for every week or something. So it takes about every week there will be some new questions.
So, Mr. Mann, like you mentioned, you're going to repeat the training every 6 months.
Yeah.
It's unlimited training. I'm trying to get a handle on what's involved in the package of the training in terms of time commitment, and I've got a bit of an understanding of the content from what you've said, but I've got no understanding of the time commitment, and I just want to understand the practicalities of repeating that every 6 months.
Like in this one, in Servwise, it's all same thing, which you just go through. There are like 4 modules where you do 1, 2, and then it gives you the certificate.
I'm talking about Tipsy, the one you're going to use.
Yeah. In Tipsy, there will be like full 90-minute session of alcohol awareness. So it takes about, if you sit like 1 day, something, and then you get your certificate afterwards. But in Tipsy, it's not only the alcohol, it's customer service, it's food, and it's wine and everything, which they based on different timing. It could be 30-minute and 40-minute and 90-minute session as well.
Okay, I'm still not 100% clear, but I'll ask it a different way. Is it going to be your expectation that they do every module
No,
every 6 months?
no. I just choose whatever.
What is your expectation?
Yeah, I always choose whichever is related with our business. So I prefer to do that sort of training, which could be underage training and in talks or general customer behavior as well.
Okay. Thank you.
No further questions. All right, just bear with me. Dr. Cameron covered most of mine. However, can we go back to paragraph 12, Mr. Mann? And I think you gave the explanation to Dr. Cameron that you don't know if do you understand what vicarious liability is?
Pardon?
Do you understand what vicarious liability is? Vicarious liability. Do you understand what that is?
Not sure, sir.
You're not sure. So as a licensee, how long have you been a licensee, sir?
I've been from 2016.
So you've given evidence in your brief here that you had an incident in the Peach and Porker, and that you went to Ala.
Yep.
I'm trying to find where that is. That was on paragraph 9. So the license was suspended. So in that case, was that through the actions of one of your staff or through the actions of yourself?
Staff.
Staff.
Yeah.
So have we got a similar situation here where you're now before ALA because of the actions of the staff? So your staff did something in March.
Yes.
And you're now before ALA because your staff did
Yes.
something. And
Yes.
that's the same as what happened in 2017. The staff did something?
Yes.
So, all right. And while you did nothing, ALA suspended your premises. Is that correct? In 2017?
Yeah.
So you were held responsible for what they did?
Yes, as a licensee, yes.
So I'll put the question again. Do you now understand what vicarious liability means?
Yeah, yeah.
So you are responsible for the actions of your staff?
My staff, yes.
All right. So in this case, that is yet to be determined by ALA, and that is in relation to penalty for that incident, not in relation to suitability, which is now before us.
Yeah.
Do you accept responsibility for the actions of your staff member in March?
I always, I tried, but we always train and everything. And what they do, it's end of the day, I can teach them and everything. So that's it's this. I think it's the staff as well. They should be more responsible. What I can train someone, I can teach someone. End of the day, they are the one facing the customer as well.
Mr. Mann, this seriously concerns me, in that if you're not prepared to accept that you are responsible as the licensee for the actions of your staff, it puts your suitability, your business suitability as a licensee in this district in serious jeopardy if you do not understand what the law is and your responsibility under the Act is.
How do I accept?
Do you understand that you are responsible for the actions of your staff?
Yep, I do.
Okay. So we've established that. Thank you. We'll move on to the next point. Now, in paragraph 15, you've said that you wish to amend the application to Sunday to Thursday, 11 till 9, and Friday and Saturday, 11 till 10. Can you just reconfirm that, please?
Yes, I want
Right, then
that.
in paragraph 16, and Dr. Cameron has previously touched on this. You say you won't be selling single cans of beer, RTDs or shots that are less than 400 mils. We will sell single cans of 400 mils or in a pack of 4. Now, I don't know the full background and never claim to know everything, but the reality for me is that the sale of single cans or single drinks of RTD or otherwise is one of the issues in relation to alcohol harm that causes a great deal of concern within the community.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you proposing to sell single cans of beer? I'll stop there. Why are you proposing to sell single cans of beer in relation to the, and I've got the issue here, the object of the Act is that the sale, supply and consumption of alcohol should be undertaken safely and responsibly, and I emphasize responsibly. Mm-hmm. So why are you proposing to sell single cans of alcohol?
Because it's a big one to a big can, and it's not like a small one, so they can consume more. So that's why we try to stick to the one can. Or we can always go with the 4-pack as well, which I prefer.
You've given evidence already in questioning from Dr. Cameron, I believe it was, that people who are commuting, and you're not targeting the people of Huntly and Ngaruawahia. Mm-hmm. So the service centre was set up and established in the last 2 years on that site. It is on what is called the Waikato Expressway, which is part of State Highway 1, the main arterial route, interprovincial state highway of New Zealand, primarily for the purpose of transporting freight and people along a corridor to get them from somewhere to somewhere else, generally of some distance. So these service centres are set up as a stop for refreshment, rest and the likes, hence the trucks with their parking facility to park overnight.
Yeah.
What is to stop this premises, if licensed, becoming a place where people come to get alcohol while driving, as opposed to stopping? And you mentioned I think, or Ms. Cow mentioned in her evidence, in her submissions, the tavern at Mercer. Mm-hmm. The tavern has a requirement to provide food. There are food outlets here, mm-hmm. which is quite different. So I'm actually sort of formulating a position here before I ask the question. So at Mercer, you have a tavern, mm-hmm. or I believe there's a second premises there because I licensed it, 2 premises there, one in the complex and one in the tavern, which supplies food with alcohol. While food is available elsewhere on this complex, there is no requirement to partake of food as well as when you consume alcohol, as with a restaurant or tavern or the like, a restaurant in particular. So to separate, my question really is, you've got travellers who are stopping for fuel, perhaps food, but I emphasise the word travellers. And I think the police alluded to this in their concerns. The issue of drinking and driving. This is at a service centre primarily for rest and food and the likes, to fuel up cars and on their way. The high incidence of drink driving in this country, and I've got no predetermination here at all. I'm just wanting to understand why you think that putting a bottle store in this location is a good idea and selling single serve 400 ml cans.
According to me, that because we're not a non-license, we're not going to be allowing anyone to drink on site. They have to buy and go somewhere else. And because these all food outlets they don't have liquor license, so they can't drink straight away, like buy a can and go down into the McDonald's or somewhere to finish it off. But like, because of the license conditions as well, like we're just selling it as a box or something. But people, I don't think so that people will buy a wine bottle and just sit on there because they don't have the license as well. So they can just go home after purchasing it from us.
So in your evidence, you've given that you talk about bottles in the car park. So are you not accepting that people will purchase from you and go to the car park or their vehicles and drink? Because your premises is the footprint of the shop. It is not outside. It is not in the car park. It is not in the service station. So you've talked about your staff picking up the bottles, which is an admission that it will be consumed near, but not on the premises.
Like I'm saying, like once it's open, like then we have to see like whether it's the alcohol bottle or could be some other bottles as well. Like we're just saying that if like not only like they can just like we're saying that we're purchasing from here, but they could bring the alcohol out from outside as well and drink it there. So that's the hard part to differentiate between like whether that purchase was done here or somewhere else. So even if we not sell it, they can drink. So which is it's like they're right. They can just buy it from somewhere else as well. Like even if this store is not open.
So would it not be better to sell alcohol in their original boxes as opposed to single serves?
I can agree on that one as well. Would you be prepared to accept a condition that alcohol of any type should only be sold in its original original packaging, such as a carton or if it's wrapped in plastic or whatever? Yeah, and main concern of 440 is it because they don't come in a pack or something? Sometimes they do come just on a package because it's like a nearly half a liter, so they don't come in package as well. So that's why I have put it this 440 ml typical in my number 16.
Well, what I think the committee will do is take on board your concession there and invite perhaps Ms. Carr to provide us with an appropriately worded condition around that. And should we grant, we will take that into consideration, and the committee, if we're not satisfied, will produce a draft set of conditions which we may invite comment on before we actually issue the decision if we are minded to grant. Ms. Carr, have you got any comment on that position at this stage?
Yes,
happy to hear from you later.
Yeah.
You happy with that at the moment?
Yes.
All right, I'll continue with questions. Thank you. Now, at page 3 or paragraph 19, you've said the proposed store is a newly built commercial complex in Gordonton. Can I take that as a mistake because it's more in Taupiri, as Gordonton is several kilometres away?
Yeah, it says Gordonton Road, that's why I think.
Which paragraph are we looking at, sir?
So paragraph 19, page 3 of the brief of evidence, final paragraph on the page.
It is on the certificate of title and on NZ deprivation index under Gordonton, not under Taupiri.
All right, well, we won't split hairs over that. I'm just going through the report that I've marked, so as evidence, just a minute. So at paragraph 24, you've indicated the police report says that the store would increase the risk of drink driving and ram raid style burglaries. Based on my experience, I do not believe that our premises will increase the risk of drink driving. Can you explain that in the context of a service centre for motorists, please? Paragraph 24.
Yeah, I'm just going through there. Sorry, could you repeat that, sir, please?
So you've got those first 3 lines there, and you say, based on my experience, I do not believe that our premises will increase the risk of drink driving. Can you explain that in the context of your proposed premises being situated in a service centre predominantly for motorists?
Because I've seen lots of other places where there are liquor stores near the service stations and everything, and if people have decided to drink and drive, they can do it anywhere. So, but just saying that because of this one as well, like there can't be more risk as well.
All right, thank you. I've talked about the bottles. I'd just like to go to your exhibit. I think it's D, is it? The rosters.
Yep.
Just get my head around this. Now, you have, and I've got the 3 pages in front of me. So I'm just trying to make sure I've got the right ones. No, that's that. That's that. Your current premises, Peach and Porker, has 5 staff members.
Yep.
So they seem to cover from 10 a.m. till close. Can you tell me what close normally is? What the closing time normally is?
9:30ish.
So that's 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a restaurant, or so this is actually for the duty manager role, is it?
Yeah.
So we're talking for that one role.
Yeah.
Okay. So
we got like a big restaurant, so we got restaurant and a bar.
Right. So you primarily got a duty. This is your duty manager, and this isn't any other staff. So you may have other staff, but for duty manager role, it takes 5 people here on this roster to cover the hours of 10 a.m. until 9:30. You are proposing, I believe, we just looked at those hours a moment ago, essentially a similar type of time frame, and you're proposing only 2 additional people to manage the premises. I'm struggling to understand your roster on Exhibit E to understand that you can safely and responsibly cater for the premises. You've got periods of 5 hours where a staff member is on their own, not showing meal breaks, toilet breaks, or otherwise. And I think these are one of the concerns, if I'm not mistaken, in Two Brothers. But if I am, I take it no further. So is it normal for you to have people working 10-hour shifts?
No, we always try to put them on 8-hour shifts.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Normally, we just try to always give them 8-hour shift, 8 to 9.
But you're proposing
between the breaks.
You're proposing regularly here, 10-hour shifts. 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. DM1, DM2, 3 to 9. That's 6 hours. 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's 11 hours. Do you not think those hours are unreasonable and that you need more staff?
Yep, I will definitely. We can always put people in there. I can't find it.
Well, I'd like to hear. I'm going to give you the opportunity to speak with Ms. Cow, and yep. I would like to see what I believe would be a more appropriate roster, in my view, looking at your current roster for the Peach and Porker. It doesn't seem credible that you can do this with with 2 and 2 full-time and 1 part-time staff member to meet the required health and safety and the likes, breaks, toilet stop, toilet, etc. Otherwise, you will have to close the premises. So I'd like to hear more on that, and I think it's fair that I give you the opportunity to speak with your counsel first, and would like that to be come back to us and to write a reply, perhaps. Unless you're making a commitment to look at more staff. So I'd like some more detail on that when you come back. I'll just find my way again. So you say that you will train new staff, which is appropriate.
Mhm.
How do you find 6 monthly training? Are staff competent enough, or do you hold refreshers in the interim?
We do start with our own in-house trainings, which I have submitted some of the questionnaires in Exhibit F.
Yes.
And how we train.
Yes.
And got some other examples, but I always prefer that if we keep on doing some refresher course, that gives them more confidence as well.
Right. And you use this WhatsApp. How often do you use this WhatsApp application?
It's always online, so we always keep on updating any promotions or any incidents or anything like.
Fair enough. Thank you. So how long after should we grant this license? Will you have the CCTV in place?
That will be my first priority from the day one, because it's nature of business. I prefer to have CCTV installed before we start the business.
So that will be in place before you actually open the business?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. I think that's all for now. So Dr. Cameron, Mr. Smeds, do you have any questions arising out of that? Dr. Cameron, thank you.
Yeah, somewhere along the way in my big long list of questions, I got a bit sidetracked, and so I missed a couple that Councillor Smith has actually reminded me that I should have asked. Just so that we've got it in evidence. Is this a liquor ban area, Mr. Mann? Is there a liquor ban on the site in place?
Can I get back to you on that one?
Sure. Yeah, I'll probably ask the inspector anyway, because I'm sure that he will know. Mr. Mann, are you aware that the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act prohibits service stations from selling alcohol? Prohibits petrol stations, for instance, from selling.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know why that would be?
Not sure.
Now, this service centre is adjacent to an expressway, and would you accept that the service centre exists to cater to travellers?
Yeah, because it was built for the travellers mainly.
And so that makes it, as a whole, similar to a large version of a service station, in that it caters to travellers, people wanting to take a rest.
It depends upon like where they're going from and whether this service centre will be in their way to stop it, or they will just gonna drive through. So I don't think so that it is like where everyone has to go through. Like, I think in this kind of places where people has to stop, only those people stop there.
Okay. Can you explain to the committee then, if service stations are prohibited from selling alcohol, and your premises is going to be located in a service centre, why the committee should grant your licence, given that it might seem to be very similar to granting a licence to a service station? So let me rephrase that question slightly, right? How is your premises going to be different from the committee granting a licence to a service station?
I think we are quite far from that, and we are not in the straight line of sight when people come into the service center. So I don't think that we will be the first one to see when people come into the service center. And I think we are quite far distance from there, and not that close by.
Okay, so in your view, the only thing that separates your store as an off license from the committee granting a license to a service station is that it's not in direct line of sight when people first come into the service center.
That was one of my point, that I think that because it's not that close and it's totally different, and what the service center is and the rest area is quite far away from us, and I don't think so that people like what we are like, there's McDonald's in front and people out there for the food as well. So I don't think so that it will be the same situation as the service license, service station having a license than us.
Okay, can you explain that in a little bit more detail? How is it different? How is it different from granting a license?
Because they are targeting mostly the travelers, I think, filling up the gas and so for the service station.
But in your evidence earlier today, you said that your target market was commuters, which was travelers, holiday travelers. So again, I come back to my question. How is your store different from the committee granting a license to a service station?
What I think is that our purpose is different, there is different, and we are just like people for alcohol store, like it's totally different. Like we will get the people not for the service station, for other purpose in that area as well. I hope this clears my point.
Yeah, I wonder, can you expand on that a little bit more? How is it different? You're saying that it's different, but you're not actually telling us how it is going to be.
People will buy and that they will move on. Like we're not serving alcohol for them to just drink there. They will just buy as what they buy stuff from the other store and on their way to home or anywhere.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just on that very issue, they stop there, they get their food, they buy their drink, and they're on their way. And normally, when you on your way and you're eating, you're also drinking something to wash it down. Hence, drinking and driving. What are you going to do about preventing that?
That's what in that one we will display the signage that it's like do not drink and drive, that sort of signs, and as a responsible citizens as well, like people, I don't think that if I'm bought alcohol that I will straight away open my bottle and start driving, which I don't, my whole livelihood depends upon it. So as a traveler as well, like if I buy it as well, I don't think so that most people do it.
Okay.
Like if they can buy it from anywhere. So it could be one from our store or it could be somewhere else. But end of the day, I think it's their teachings and all their beliefs that it's not like everyone knows that losing your license and it's not that easy in New Zealand to live with it. So, and teaching as well, like teaching people and awareing people about drink and driving.
And forgive me if I've misread what you're saying, but what you appear to be saying to the committee is that so long as I put my signs up, what people do after I've sold it and have left my premises, it's not my business. Are you saying that?
I'm saying like we can tell them and show them and make them aware of it, like it's not safe to do that. If we notice that a person comes in that he will be driving, then we won't serve them or we won't sell them the alcohol.
If it's a pretty bland a wide statement, far-reaching statement you've just made. I think I certainly accept some of your argument that people can buy from a bottle store and drive. The unique and different position we have here is that this is a service centre on State Highway 1, the Waikato Expressway, built to remove freight and people on the main route of New Zealand. And we have a service centre for the purpose of refreshment breaks, refueling, and the likes. You're asking us to grant you a license to a bottle store, and you've now agreed not to sell alcohol other than its original containers received into your premises, in the way I would put it, so in cartons or whatever, and not single serves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm failing to understand well, put it this way, I accept that anyone can buy from any bottle store and drive, and drink and drive. But there is a difference in that a bottle store next to and in the complex of a service centre is different. Do you not accept that? And that in some way, I believe, infers a higher test. And Ms. Cow might take me on later on this, but it does not put the onus on this committee to look at that object of the act, and that it is to be undertaken safely and responsibly. And so that's got to be in the context of the situation that it's to be licensed, not on a general situation, but in the actual place where it's to be licensed. So I really need to understand from you, please, is that how your business will deal with that object of the act, safe and responsible sales. Because I'm not sure that you're actually making it any different at the moment from any other bottle store. But in my view, and I'll put it to you, that it is different in that it's in a service centre for motorists.
The most, I think what can do is that, like, we can watch who was driving if we have the cameras outside, and we can see if it's a group or something. But end of the day, we can do more, like displaying the signage and everything, saying proper, like, do not drink and drive and be responsible. That's, I think, but I'm always welcome if you want to give us any extra. I'm always open for new ideas as well, but I'm to be a responsible licensee.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's not the role of the committee to advise you or to guide you.
Mm-hmm.
It's our role to determine whether your application meets the threshold that was required for us to be able to grant you this license. So I don't have further questions at this stage. We'll go back to the committee. No, so Ms. Kerr, your opportunity to redirect, and I see it's, no, we've got until 1:30, so we're fine with time. So,
Mr. Martin, Member Cameron asked you about the difference between your store and the service station. So would you accept, let me put it, so are you selling any petrol from your store?
No.
You're not doing any repair and servicing of motor vehicles from your store?
No.
Your store is quite independent from the service station, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's not the shop within a petrol station, is it?
No.
And on distance, you would say it's about 30 to 50 meters maybe from your store to the petrol station?
I think you're leading him, Ms.
Oh,
Kerr.
sorry.
Yeah.
So do you have any idea on the distance between your store and the service station?
Yeah, it's quite far, like, I would say 80 meters or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
80?
More or less, but.
Sorry, you just say 80?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And there is a separation between your store and the service station because there is a entranceway or the street or the path, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but
goes
like
in the
even
premises, right?
yeah, even like truck, they don't come through in front of our driveway or from behind us as well. They got an access. I think they just go in service station and through the roundabout. So if I'm not wrong, they don't have access from our side as well. If somebody has to come, they have to walk quite a bit distance of that distance we have discussed.
So your store is not a service station, is it?
No, definitely not.
Do you know any other bottle store that might be close to a petrol station?
Yeah, I've seen
Can you give us
certain
an
places. Just down the road from Huntley, there's a petrol station, Zed's, I think, and there's another super liquor that's not far. I would say that would be fairly close to our distance, if I'm not wrong. And I can't remember at the moment, but there are a few, but I can definitely find that place and let the committee know.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Mr. Vaughn.
Thank you. Well, it would normally be time to hear from the reporting agency. Ms. Mail, do you wish to, I'd normally go to the inspector first, but Ms. Mail, in the circumstances, should you be called away, would you like to take the opportunity, or I'm giving you the opportunity to choose when you wish to speak? Because if we keep going as we are, we may not be here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I was just waiting for the next break to start doing some more phone calls. So if I am able to go last, that would be really good.
Okay, well, that's fine. We will, I think we will be here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to actually give you a time to work towards. And you've had the opportunity to hear and cross-examine Mr. Mann. So that was quite important for the committee that you had that opportunity. All right, so at this stage then we will go to the inspector. Mr. Lynch, you're in a position to present your brief of your evidence.
Yes, I am, sir. Yeah.
All right, just let me turn to it then. So in the agenda, we have your report. I thought I'd silenced that. My phone has just been upgraded and I have lost control of how to use it at the moment, so I apologise. But I've left it on because the committee are texting me. And my wife is just getting the phone, so sorry, I apologise for this. Yeah, so in the agenda we have the inspector's report, which I think is right at the start. So I'm happy for you to take your report as read, Mr. Lynch, unless anyone would like him to go through it, but I'm happy for you to highlight points from that if you wish to, and of course into your evidence. So happy to start with your evidence and then refer to your report if necessary.
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, my brief, of course, is based on the report, and I can summarise that in 5 minutes or so, sir.
All right, go for it. So if you could read your brief, please.
Yeah. This application is for a bottle store, although it's been called a wine shop. The application provided the required information, including statutory certificates. Again, thinking about the wine shop, the 1963 Act permitted wine shops in suburban shopping centres, and you would expect a wine shop to be something along the lines of Glengarry Wines in Auckland, which has 13 such shops, or even a salad or winery shop. However, The proposal is one which fits the definition of a bottle store, and also that in the local alcohol policy, and which is also based on section 32. My appendix 2 of my report indicates that Taupo Township is, as the crow flies, within 800 to 1500 meters radius of.
Sorry, can I just stop you? Sorry, can I just stop you there? We didn't swear you in. I'm sorry. And Mr. Democracy, have you got the words, or shall I go again?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
So if you're ready, Paul. So I solemnly affirm that the evidence be given shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Do you agree? Do you accept that?
I do swear.
Okay, thank you.
Well, you affirm because you haven't got a Bible. So essentially you're affirming to tell the truth before the committee.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So look, can we just go back? There's nothing contentious in what you've said, but we'll take your first paragraph 1 and 2 as accepted and read. Can you now read from paragraph 3, is it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
The application was notified in the council's website on 22nd of June. There's one objection which has been, and the objector has been excluded in a previous hearing. Going back to the applicant, it is a company registered under the Companies Act and can hold an off license under Section 28. The suitability of Mr. Mann as the principal of the applicant company is questioned because his company was suspended for serving an intoxicated person in 2016 or 17. And his on license, of course, as we've previously discussed this morning, failed a controlled purchase operation in March of this year. Turning to the lap, the location is authorised by resource consent zoning. In respect of the proximity of other premises, the tavern off licence is located on a secondary road within Taupo Township, and the proprietor has expressed to me that he does not consider he competes with bottle stores. He even admitted to purchasing from them when he was low in stock. There are no existing bottle stores or grocery stores or off licenses within a kilometre or elsewhere in Taupo Township. In respect to sensitive sites, there are no sensitive sites within 100 metres or indeed within a kilometre. In respect to further licences, this clause of the lab limits the number of bottle stores in the nearest communities of Huntly to 3 and Muriwahia to 2. At the time the lab was drafted in 2016, Taupo was not considered to be a township where a bottle store would ever be likely, and the community would thus be protected to some extent by limited exposure to alcohol in the adjacent towns where Taupo residents do their shopping, being Huntly and Muriwahia. 3 of those existing stores advised that their business was affected by the opening of the expressway, which diverted traffic away from the previous State Highway 1 route. Their turnover reduced to something in the order of 20%, but so did such things as robbery and snatch and grab thefts, etc. Moving on to my paragraph 6, the original hours in the application were for 91 hours per week. We've heard in the submission and again this morning that those hours have been reduced by 19 to 72 hours, and that the 2 additional managers would be employed. This satisfies my concern in some respect on staffing levels, as long as they're appointed and are free to commute, but especially during COVID restrictions. And moving on to 7, as in my report at conclusion, The application is for what would be called a wine shop, but it would be free to sell alcohol and spirit bottles and RTDs and crates, right through to crates of quart bottles of beer. Like the reporting agencies, I do not favour the establishment of an off-licence in a controversial location. Any business would likely pick up trade previously catered for in the old State Highway 1 route through Huntly and Urawaia, and also develop new community customers in the surrounding localities and from the expressway users. And I would just like to expand slightly on what type of customers are in the central Waikato area. For instance, in Taupiri, the Taupiri Rugby Club has 240 adult members, and the membership comes from Huntly, Aureni, Whitikahu, Gordonton, Hamilton, the Kainui and Urawaia. And the Fonterra's Farm Source Farm Supplies attracts dairy farmers from a radius of approximately 20 kilometres from Taupiri. And in respect to the type of customers that currently call at the food outlets on either side of the proposed premises, the Subway claim that most of their customers are passing traffic, whereas the kebab shops have told me that the greater part of their customers come from the surrounding localities and as far away as Te Kawata. So my contention is that the bottle shops or the number of bottle shops in Huntly and Urawaia are restricted to a total of 5, and any new bottle store in this central Waikato area needs to be taken into account with the limit that is on the number of bottle shops that are permitted in that general part of Waikato, although that is not currently covered in the 2017 LAP. So that's my submission to.
So thank you. Before I go to any party, just on those last points you were making, and some of our participants are familiar with the social club hearing in Tamihere recently in relation to the LAP, and that the issue was raised that the LAP didn't cover Tamihere because there wasn't a business there previously. You're raising the flip side of that in saying that there is prohibition in Ngaruawahia and Huntly for new bottle stores, and that Taupiri was never contemplated. The issue is the LAP does not cover a prohibition on Taupiri and the location that we discussed today. So therefore, I'm asking you, why is it appropriate that we should consider those 5 store restrictions when the location that we're discussing is not prohibited from having one? Where's the legal ability for us to do anything that you're suggesting?
There is no legal ability. What I'm pointing out is that the trade that particularly 3 of those bottle stores that were on State Highway 1 through Huntly, when it was through Huntly and Urawaia, would now be picked up by a 6th bottle store in the area, and it's something that can be considered, but not by using the current 2017 LAP.
Thank you. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Cow.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lynch, you mentioned in your submissions that the Tarpary was not considered to be township where a bottle store would ever be likely. So following on from Mr. Chairman's question, and you said community would thus be protected to some extent, but you are aware that there is Tarpary Tavern in the community. Yes?
Yes, I am. I have spoken with.
And it has held an on and off license for a number of years.
Yeah, that is correct.
So the community already is exposed to alcohol in that township, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
And your report says that Tarpary Tavern sells modest quantity of beers, spirits, and wines.
But through its off license, yes.
Yes. Those are my only questions. Thank you, Mr. Lynch.
Thank you, Ms. Cow. Sergeant, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mail, do you have any questions? Thank you. Mr. Smeds, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Dr. Cameron?
I have a few. Mr. Lynch, is the side of the proposed premises, is it a liquor ban area?
No, it doesn't have a liquor ban area. There is one on the main street of Tarpary, near where the dairy is located.
In his evidence, Mr. Mann talked about selling single-serve bottles or cans that were 440 mils or larger, and he suggested that that was how they were supplied by the supplier, in the sense that they were supplied as single serves, and so therefore that would be how they would be sold. Is that your experience?
I have noticed large cans from Eastern Europe particularly available in supermarkets, but I do not know how they are packaged, but I imagine they would be in a carton or some other outer package.
But they're being sold as single serves in supermarkets, is that?
Yes, that's correct. They are in the main supermarkets.
What you're saying, it's unlikely that they left Eastern Europe and travelled to New Zealand in a can without some sort of packaging to contain them.
That's correct, sir, especially if they came by ship through the port of Tauranga.
Thank you.
What about the case of locally produced products? Are they routinely shipped to bottle stores in a way that would prevent them from being sold other than as single serves?
I'm not aware of any brewery in New Zealand that supplies cans in other than at least a 6-pack.
Now, in the local alcohol policy, there's a limitation on the number of bottle stores in Ngaruawahia and Huntly.
That's good.
Can you just explain to us why you think that limitation is in place?
Well, in those communities, there, as we've heard earlier today, they are in the high decile areas, and their populations were certainly not growing at the time the LAP was drafted.
So when you say the high decile areas, you mean the high deprivation areas?
Sorry, yeah, the deprivation.
So these are communities that are vulnerable.
That's correct.
So these are communities where alcohol-related harm is a concern.
Yes, well, certainly it was in 2016.
Is Taupiri, in your view, is it also a high deprivation area? This is a subjective question, so I'm not referring to the index of deprivation. And in your view, is it a high deprivation area?
There are some collections of housing that would fit that description within the township.
Is it a vulnerable community?
The whole of the community, I wouldn't consider to be vulnerable. There are, I'm aware of some problem regulars at the Taupiri Tavern.
Sorry, can I just get clarified? You would not consider it to be a vulnerable community, but there are some.
There are some problem drinkers who frequent the Taupiri Tavern.
Thank you.
Is alcohol a problem in that community, do you think?
I'm not in a position to make a clear statement on that. My only observation would be that there is new housing developing, and there is some rejuvenation of old Taupiri dwellings, so the community is changing.
Maybe a question that you could ask the Sergeant when his evidence.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lynch.
So, no, I have no questions at this stage. All right, so everyone's had the opportunity, I believe, to speak, and we are now 1:10. Sergeant, how long do you anticipate your evidence being?
From my side, I'd say probably 15 minutes, if that.
I am sorry, I thought I had silenced this. Well, we could hear from you, and if need be, we could do the cross-examination after lunch. So that being the case, we're in your hands. So just give us a moment to get to your evidence, please. Now, you submitted a, sorry, I have got that on for the committee to call me, and I thought I've got just give me a moment to text me should they wish to, but my volume control doesn't seem to be working. I apologise. So we'll take your evidence, and your evidence you submitted for the preliminary hearing.
Yes.
We've received nothing further, and we're working on the basis of that. Which I think's dated 13 August. Is that the one that we're on?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Democracy, you've got a question?
Would we want to swear him in?
Yes, we would actually.
Yes. Okay.
So,
if you'd just like to, I solemnly affirm that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Do you affirm?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Democracy. I appreciate their interjection. All right, so Sergeant, we're in your hands. Thank you.
Alrighty. So my full name is Hayden Edward Martin. I'm a sergeant in the New Zealand Police. I am currently stationed in Narrawahia in the Northwest Prevention Sergeant. As part of my role, I consider applications for liquor licensing matters for the Waikato District Council. In June the 18th, I received a notification of a new license being sought in Taupiri. This is within the catchment of the Waikato District Council. The application was given the reference LIC App 10 2021 by the Waikato District Council. On the 8th of July, I responded to this matter objecting to the application. I attached an initial report to this response outlining the reasons for the objection. I won't seek leave to produce that report. So in the following weeks, I created a more in-depth report in relation to concerns that police had in relation to this application. The report deals with the following concerns to be raised by police: the location, iwi-sensitive sites nearby, other liquor license premises in the area, the deprivation index score in the area, including nearby towns of Huntly and Taupiri, the good standards and systems of the operator. Location was referred to first, as it is not a variable that can be changed. In the report, police submit that their location is close in proximity to State Highway 1, also known as the Waikato Expressway. Police submit that the area is a rest stop in nature, commonly used for the rest and refreshment of travellers. The closest community to the applicant would service is Taupiri, 1.4 kilometres away. Figure 4 of the report shows the distance from the closest part of Taupiri to the location. Figure 5 and 6 show the walk along an 100 kilometre speed zone that would be needed to access the location if walking. Police use walking as mode of transport due to alcohol involvement. There are no taxis readily available in the area, and Uber or other ride-sharing services also not available. In the application, the applicant states that there is no significant sites in the area. Police disagree with this statement. Taupiri Mountain is a hugely significant site to iwi and is a resting place of Māori royalty. Figure 7 of the report shows the distance the mountain is 2.5 kilometres away from the location. Figure 1 to 7 in the report are from Google Maps and related street views. The report goes on to outline the Māori growth in the region, and in particular youth, through figures 8 and 9, which taken through census information in 2018. Police continue to outline the vulnerability of Māori to the effects of alcohol through its introduction via colonisation, the lengths Māori went to prevent its spread, and its prohibition in the Maniapoto area, of which this location is a part of. Police rely on Waikato DHB in relation to amenity and good order. In relation to other licensed premises in the area, police outline the closest off licence as in Huntly, as per figure 10. Police go on to identify the omission of the applicant to identify the Taupiri Tavern as an on and off licence holder. You can refer to figure 11 in the report for proximity of the Taupiri Tavern less than 2 kilometres away from the location. Police identify the deprivation index and its measures. Police then identify the immediate area around the location, scoring 6 out of 10 in the deprivation index, with Taupiri Township and nearby Huntly significantly in threat of harm in the deprivation index. Refer to figure 12 and 13 in the report, which are taken from the website, which is indicated in the brief of evidence. This shows a population of each statistical area, and its score in the deprivation index is determined by the 2018 census results and the measures mentioned on the report. Police voice their concerns in relation to amenity and good order in this area, but link it to harm. This is, in brief, concerns over the premises being a target for ram raid style burglaries and a location for legal street races to congregate. These are both alarming trends in the Waikato and have had significant media attention and are at the forefront of the mind of the public. Police submit that the opening of the premises, due to its location in the prime corridor between Hamilton and Auckland and the highly sought commodity it stocks, will place it at high risk of victimisation. Police identify that the applicant has several other interests in licensed premises, including Peach and Porker Te Awamutu. This can be corrected to a interest, not several, in Peach and Porker Te Awamutu, which has failed to adhere to the Act on previous occasions, one of which has still been tended to at tribunal. There is evidence of the applicants overstretching staff-wise, predominantly with duty managers, and concerns the applicant will be able to that the applicant will not be able to comply with the Act itself and the law in general, including employment, holidays, health and safety laws, and which the applicant will have to abide, I think this point here has somewhat been rectified by the 2 more duty managers coming on board. That's my brief evidence at the moment. All other evidence is in the report.
Thank you. So you would like to see that your report is taken as read and into evidence as well?
Yes, please.
Thank
I've
you.
also supplied the committee with further aerial photography taken by the police helicopter, and if that could be entered into evidence as well.
All right, so let's just make sure now, Mr. Horsfield, the democracy, you've got in the brief of evidence of Mr. Mann, you've got A to H, I think it is. So can we have the police exhibit as exhibit 1? Thank you. That's the photos. So that will be taken into evidence. Right, it's 1:22. I'm prepared. Can I just have an indication, Ms. Cow, how long do you think your cross-examination may take? Or is it like a piece of string?
5 to 7 minutes, maybe, depending. I do have a few questions, yes.
All right, well, let's start with you, and I think we'll take a break after you to indicate to everyone else. So we're in your hands, Ms. Cow.
Thank you, sir. Sergeant Martin, let's talk about the locations. You're aware that Tarpary Tavern has an off license?
Yes.
And it can sell alcohol for longer hours than what the applicant's proposing, isn't it?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
The Tarpary Tavern has the license hours longer than what the applicant is proposing.
Yes, I agree with that.
So regardless of the store being there or not, if motorists or truck drivers or anybody coming in that area, they want to access alcohol, they still can.
Yes, they could. However, the Tarpary Tavern is tucked away into Tarpary Township, and the bottle store is part of the tavern, so it is literally a walk-in and through the hole type, hole in the wall type arrangement, rather than a bottle store where you go in and walk around and select your product, walk out again.
But this store is still off the ramp. It's not straight on the motorway. This proposed store. Can you hear me, right?
Sorry, your mic seems to be, are you on mute, Sergeant?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay.
Okay.
So put the question again. Thank you.
So this proposed store is off ramp as well. It is not straight on State Highway 1, is it? It's off ramp. So you have to get off the motorway to get to the store.
And travel 2 kilometres to where the Tarpary Tavern is, yes.
No, I think you're saying, sorry, can we just clear that up? Are you saying the tavern is, the question, is it the taverns on an off ramp or the
No, I was asking about the store.
the bottle store, you've got to go on the off ramp and into the premises,
Yes.
or the complex. That's what the question was, Sergeant.
Oh, sorry. So the one that the application is before today, yes, you'd have to get off the motorway, take a roundabout, and into a car park.
You've seen the photos that are presented by the applicant of the site.
I have seen Google Maps and site plans.
The photos that were filed as evidence by the applicant, site photos.
I have not.
Mrs. Cunningham, can you just come online, please? Are you there? She seems to have walked away. So we'll get that clarified over the lunch break. But there were a series of photographs after your photographs, I believe, came in. The applicant filed some with the committee. So we'll check with Mrs. Cunningham whether they were circulated or not. Thank you. Can we go to the next question, and I'll check that over the lunch and break.
Okay. You say that the store could create a social point of contact where people could congregate. You haven't provided any evidence to support that claim, have you?
No, it's just the fact that it's a large car park. I know that in Bunnings, in Hamilton, or any other area where there's a large car park to congregate, these boy races or illegal street races will use that opportunity to congregate.
So that could apply to Bunnings, Mitre 10, anything. It's not just restricted to off license then, is it?
That's correct.
Similarly, the concerns about target for ram raid style burglaries, these could apply to any off license, can't they?
Yes, it's correct.
Dairies, jewelry stores, sports clothing stores can also be target.
Yep, that's correct.
And cigarettes are also highly sought after commodity.
Yes, it's correct.
So in this location, if someone opens a dairy or a jewelry store or a sports clothing store, they could still be targeted for ram raid, can't they?
Yes, that's correct.
So the grant of this application does not increase that risk in any way, does it?
I think the location in itself offers the opportunity for ram raids of any store that high value commodities are kept, whether it be clothing, cigarettes, alcohol. But I think that these high value items, alcohol is definitely one of them, and the fact that you're sitting right next to a motorway and you can get off there, do your ram raid and have an easy access to get away, definitely opens it up to a increased likelihood of a ram raid.
But you've accepted that it could happen to any store, not just this particular store.
Yeah, that's correct.
In that location.
Yes, noting that alcohol is a high value target commodity.
I'll take you to your submissions. I think you've noted some locations in there. I think it's I'm not sure what page number it is in the hearing file, but it's page 18 of your submissions. Maybe it's 16 in the hearing file.
So which one are we going to, Ms. Cow? Is it the agenda that was published, or?
Yes, the agenda. It had Sergeant's submissions, and I'm just looking at page 18 of his submissions under the heading of deprivation, index, and harm, but it's several pages. So it's the last page in that heading, just before systems of the applicant.
I don't think that's in the original bundle. I think it's in.
Oh, is
it's in the documents that we had prior to the first day of the hearing.
So you're talking about the preliminary hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah, these were submissions filed, I think, but
Yeah, it was filed
I'll leave
at that
that
time.
question. If they're not admitted as submissions, then I'll leave that question. They were filed with preliminary hearing, but I think related to
Yeah, no, they were filed at the time of the preliminary hearing, but they're the last thing that we've received from police.
So maybe I'll take the guidance from the chair that whether they are included in this disclosure or they're not.
So well, anything that's been submitted in relation to the hearing, I think, is relevant. So can we just clarify what is it that you're actually looking at?
I was looking at Sergeant Martin's submissions. So he filed a brief of evidence statement, and then he had submissions along with that evidence statement.
There was a
that's right. So these submission, it's dated, well, it's not dated, but it's page 1. It's and then it goes, next page is location.
So they carry on, and I'm just on the last page, just before the systems of the applicant.
And so, yeah, that's page 18.
Yes, so that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it starts with police admit that there are several areas.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
So, Sergeant Martin, would you, you've mentioned Rutherford Road. That's the one in Waiau? Rutherford Road?
Yeah, it runs from Whitikahu Road, Orini Road up to Tahuna Road.
So that's about 50k from the store, isn't it?
Yes, correct.
It is. Then Tahuna Road, you've mentioned, is about 20k from the premises.
Sorry, can we just go back to that previous question? So, Orini Road is you go into Taupri from the store, and on the right is Orini Road, and a short distance out, 2, 3, 4 kilometres at most, Rutherford Road goes to the left, and that goes up to Tahuna Road at Ohiniwai. Are we on? Is that the road you're talking about?
Yes, that's correct. It's probably, I'd say, about 15 kilometres from the site to the start of Rutherford Road to at the Irene end.
Right, so at the southern end, and then it goes up to the north at Ohiniwai.
Yeah, that's correct. It's
Right.
about, the road is probably about 10, 15 kilometres long.
Yeah, so Rutherford Road is what you're talking about, is 15 kilometres from the site that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's
right.
correct.
So we just don't want to be clear of what you were talking about, Ms. Cow.
I'm just going through those locations that how far Sergeant has actually considered, which is part of Waikato district, I think. That's what I'm getting at. So Tahuna is about 20k. Yes.
Yep, that's correct.
Bankier Road is about 11k.
Yeah, to the south.
Paddy Road is about 31k.
Yes, and even further north is Hampton Downs.
Yeah, and Hampton Downs is about 44k.
Yes, that's correct.
So in all those distances, there are various other off licenses, including taverns in the district, that people can have access to alcohol, aren't they?
Yes, that's correct.
So if I put to you that grant of this application doesn't increase that risk in any way, does it? This is not going to be a destination store, is it?
From my experience, boy racers are already starting to congregate on the forecourt of BP.
Have you put any evidence to it? Evidence in your submissions? There wasn't any evidence in your submissions about that.
No, I'm telling you now, in evidence.
In Waikato.
You asked the question, Ms. Cow, he's giving you an answer. May not be
Yes.
the one they wanted.
No, but I think the point is that's where I think my submission's focused on some evidence that applicants shouldn't be taken as a surprise on the day of the hearing. So that is something that new information.
But it's in response to a question you asked. So
No, I did not ask. I just asked whether you put any evidence to it. And he said he didn't. And then he added. So my question was that whether there was any evidence, and Sergeant Martin has said no. So that's the evidence he's given in relation to my question.
So to be clear, he hadn't given evidence in his submissions, but he has given that evidence now. That's what I understand. And are you challenging his ability to give that evidence now?
I'm saying that is something new. That is new information, which wasn't put to the applicant before.
Well, if you want to address that, either write a reply or recalling your witness, I'd entertain that.
Thank you. I will reply. I try to reply.
Thank you.
In terms of vulnerable community, so you say the local community is vulnerable, and you then also say that given the distance of the store from the community and that walk along the SH1 is dangerous, store is not able to service the community, yes?
Correct, yeah.
So if I put it to you that if store can't service the community, then you can't then go back and argue that it will pose in risk of alcohol-related harm to that community.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. And as we already established that Tarpary Tavern holds an off license, so community already have access to alcohol in that township, yes? And would you accept that people still have the option to order alcohol online or get it delivered? Yes?
I'm not sure if that's available in that area.
Do people not have internet in Tarpary? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure if the deliveries will go there. We've only just been able to get Domino's delivery in Huntly.
You say that the store will service travelers and truck drivers, yes?
Yes.
Have you looked at the inspector's report?
Yes.
And on page 4 of the inspector's report, he notes that more than 50% of the customers for the adjoining kebab takeaway is drawn from communities within 15K.
Within how many K, sorry?
15. That's what the inspector's report notes after talking with the next door neighbors. So would it be reasonable to conclude that this store could also draw business from the surrounding rural communities?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't have any more questions, Sergeant, for you other than the photos that I was going to refer you to, but not sure what the status of those photos is now.
So what we'll do is we'll take a break here, and I will make contact with Mrs. Cunningham and make sure that those are recirculated before we recommence. And what is the time now? 1:40. So let's say 2:15, and that will give us time to have a break. And I see Miss Martin. Yes, Miss Martin, you've got a hands up and a wave. All right. So we'll get those photos. So, Mrs. Cunningham.
Yes. I was here. I couldn't unmute.
Sorry, the police submitted some photographs, and then the
applicant did. So.
Yes, I'm setting the scene. And then the applicant sent a series of photographs to respond to those photos. So it appears that the sergeant has not had the opportunity to look at those. So can we resend those photographs to all parties, whether they have them or not, so that everyone is getting the same thing? So can we send that now? And then at 2:15, we will allow Ms. Cow to then cross-examine the sergeant on those photos or question him. And so I'll now go. So that, can you do that?
Yep, I should do that.
Now, Miss Mail, you had your hand up for something, or was that a mistake?
No, it's fine. Don't worry.
All right. So I'm just appreciative of the fact that you've hung in with us all day, and that's good. So does the committee need to go into a yes? So we'll adjourn.